Yeah. Backstage for our very first interview of Pointfest 2022, Take 2. I am joined by YELAWOLF and Shooter Jennings. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's really, really great and a total honor to get to be able to chat with you guys.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Nice to see you as well, man.
Okay, so I started reading about your record and listening to your record, and I got so excited by some of the things that I heard you guys talking about in your interviews when it comes to this. You named the album Sometimes Why. And I'm not going to do a good job of explaining exactly that, of why you did that. Can you guys explain where that came from, why you named the record that, and kind of just go into that a little bit? Because I found it very fascinating and something that I agree with like 1,000 times over.
I think, well, first of all, it leaves, you know, in school they teach you sometimes why, but they don't teach you why. You know, but it just is what it is, you know?
Right? You got to trust sort of thing.
Yeah. And stylistically, it left the door wide open for us as a band to do anything we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I think throughout the album, we were pretty much making, we were just trying to make our favorite songs. Yeah. Our favorite songs from what we grew up listening to, and that's what we did. So it's, you know, the record has a lot of angles, you know, and we do as friends and as musicians and fans as well of what we grew up listening to. So we just were, you know, fearless about making this record. You know, we didn't put barriers on it. So sometimes why it just allows us to be whomever we want to be. You know what I mean? And you know, and we don't have to. The biggest thing is we don't have to explain why.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Just like in school. No, but I will say this,
like
before we even started this, he had this logo designed, and he knew the album was going to be called Sometimes Why. Like, he set that fire in our minds of how we were going to translate this, and we had like one conversation that had to do with all the music we loved, and it led to this.
Yeah, that's true, but I've done that with all my records. Like, the title comes first, and typically the art as well.
Right.
Before any music is made, because it helps me to compartmentalize what it's gonna feel like.
Sure.
It's gonna not sound like in particular, but if I can put a cover on the book, then I could go and fill the pages. You know?
Absolutely. One of the things that I found so fascinating about it, like you both, I grew up in a house where, I mean, all different kinds of music was present every single day. So it would be Led Zeppelin, it would be Jackson 5, it would be whatever gospel music that my mom listened to that always would drive me nuts. And right now, as I've gotten older, I'm so frustrated by how things are seemingly so one thing. So it's got to be a rock thing, or it's got to be a rap thing, and I feel like most of us, or at least a lot of us, kind of look at it in your Sometimes Why situation, like, why can't it be whatever we want it to be? And that's kind of why I got so excited about it, because I was like, this is kind of what I wish everybody would kind of do. You know what I mean? No boundaries. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate you saying that.
So I want to talk about you two together, because you guys had been friends for a bit. I mean, for some years before the musical thing even happened. I guess the question is, what kind of took it so long to go there?
I think we were both like marinating in our lives and our music for a very long time. We tried a couple times, but it wasn't like we had any kind of facility or we didn't have a plan. We just kind of like would get in the studio for a minute. You know, we just knew, I knew at least, like when I saw him and I met him, I knew that we were destined to do something, because there was some connection that I couldn't explain that was in the air, you know? And then my nephew, Struggle, introduced us, because he felt that we were going to really like each other. And then we just stayed close friends. But, you know, like, I have a lot of fair weather friends, and Wolf was always a friend. Like, anytime I'd see him, or he'd always include me, or like, you know, in things he was doing, or bring me in on Struggle's thing when you were doing his record. Like, he would stay... you know, we would kind of stay, I don't know, close, you know, to some degree, even though we were thousands of miles apart most of the time. But, you know, I feel like when we finally made a plan to do it, we both knew we were going to take it very seriously, you know.
Yeah, and YELAWOLF, I had even read that, like, the initial days in the studio, you were maybe even a little bit nervous about the musicianship around you, not them. You were kind of feeling like you had to gain their sort of respect with your ability. Is that true? Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, that's right. You know, it was.
Things happen during live
The
interviews.
whole world is falling apart right while we do this.
So, sometimes there's wind gusts. What are you going to do?
Do we need to call our families?
Yeah, when you know, I told Shooter that I needed to be unhinged in a way. Like, I needed to let loose on a singer-songwriter album, and neither one of us knew what that was gonna sound like, but I knew I had a lot of work to do as far as singing full records, you know.
Yeah.
I've sang a lot of hooks in my career, but this is a total different beast.
Yeah.
You know, it's a total different level of vocals, and so we step into the studio. These guys were doing full band takes, top to bottom, like nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, oh, this is how it goes? Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. And it was like, I had never seen that before.
Sure.
In the studio.
That's daunting, man.
We take, well, I have taken it piece by piece, where these guys would compose the entire thing, an arrangement. Shooter would produce this whole song. There was not even any vocals on it yet. So then it was up to me, you know, to come with it.
No pressure, man.
Yeah, no pressure. So, yeah, and you know, it was the first time I had met the band as well. Shooter was the only person I knew.
Right.
So I had to meet, you know, Jamie on drums, Ted bass, John on guitar, and of course Dave Spring was the engineer. And they were all such players, and obviously Shooter as well. But Shooter was the only person I knew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was nerve-wracking. But after day one, it was like family.
So then I would assume that when you guys get to come out and play shows, that this is like, I mean, it's work-ish.
No, it's
but a
awesome.
Really good time.
It's awesome. It's like look, he's like making himself seem small in this situation, but man, like, it's like his energy and his writing and his ideas activated this band of guys that I played with for some of them 20 years and never felt like we had ever gotten to a record that was so suited for them as this was. So in a weird way, it was like he was this missing ingredient in a long-time friendship of collaboration that once he was put in the room, the shit exploded, you know? It was like much like a Mentos and a Diet Coke. You know what I mean?
I feel like this is a combination that's probably going to get some more, there will be more from it, other than just this record, don't you think?
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, it was a big pleasure for me to get a chance to talk to you today. I love the record. I can't wait to see you guys play it out here live at Pointfest. And I just very much thank you very much both for the time.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you,
we
man.
are backstage at Pointfest with YELAWOLF and Shooter Jennings. Thank you, gentlemen.